Hey guys, Dave here. I'm out here today on a very rainy day. It's been raining actually the last 3 days, really, well, 4 days. It's supposed to rain all the way through till middle of next week too. So, or I guess middle of this week. So anyways, what I'm out here doing, guys, I'm just out here doing my daily walk routine, and I'm coming out to just kind of check on some of my posted signs, make sure those are all still up. And today what we're going to be talking about is unfortunately a situation that we had with a trespasser out here on the property. So we're going to have a bit of a conversation about that today, discussing where we go from here, how we're dealing with trespassers out here on the homestead, and just all that kind of stuff in regards to that. We'll go over some little things about kind of Idaho law on trespassing, and just overall have a discussion about trespassing in general. So before we do, if you guys could hit that like button for me, hit that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber, and that notification bell that allows us to bring you more content in the future. And yeah, guys, let's get after it. All right, guys, so as I mentioned, I'm just out here kind of walking the main easement road here through the property, and my posted signs are up. And today, like I said, what we're going to be talking about is a trespasser that we had here on the homestead. And this was not, I guess, your typical trespasser. This was a trespassing that almost is, I guess, a little bit more even offensive than a normal trespassing, because I don't believe this was an honest mistake on the trespasser's part. And so I honestly debated whether or not to make this video with you guys, and I decided I would, because it pertains with being out in an area like this, remote, on your own, and dealing with trespassers. I just think it's kind of a little bit more informative. Some people might think it's for drama, which is fine. You know, it is a topic that is, I guess, dramatic. I keep forgetting to get that timber bough out of here. I got to get that taken care of. So in regards to the trespasser, guys, so in North Idaho, we actually last year passed a law making us one of the best states in the nation in regards to homeowner and private property protection when it comes to trespassing. So in the state of Idaho, trespassers can be cited first offense, and by the third offense, that trespassing becomes a felony offense. Another thing they did with that law, passing that law in 2018, that a lot of people don't realize, is they actually changed the law in regards to how you have to post your property. So the old law stated that you had to have either signs stating you were posted, or a orange flag every 650 feet on your property lines. And that was what designated that you were posted for your private property. Now that has since changed. You no longer in the state of Idaho have to post it, as far as I understand. Now I'm no lawyer, but you no longer have to actually post your property, except for in one instance, and that instance is when your private property butts up against public land. And what you have to do in that instance is you have to designate your corner boundaries. You don't have to designate the line, you just have to designate your corner boundaries, and that is sufficient enough by Idaho state law to consider your property posted. So on my property, I actually do have designators within that 650, the old law, the 650 feet in between postings. So we're clear there. We'll get to one of our boundary markers there, or posted signs here in just a minute as I'm walking down this easement road. It's actually right over here. But so we're within our posted, I guess within the confines of the law. We are posted out here as private property. Now, and you can see we have a posted sign there. I don't even technically need to have a posted sign. It could just be a red flag, or sorry, orange flag, orange square, orange designator, and that designates private property. And again, now you only need to designate your corners. You don't need to designate property lines at 650 feet intervals like you used to. So anyways, guys, beyond that, I know that's kind of, I guess, Idaho state law and doesn't apply to most of you. And probably something that may be a little bit boring to discuss. So on to the trespasser, guys. We did have a trespasser, and unfortunately I was not home at the time the trespasser came through. We do have a gate at the end of our property that is also posted, and this person actually crossed through our gate into our property, and I was not home at the time. So Lisa actually had to deal with this situation. Now, I will say this trespasser, like I mentioned kind of in the intro, to me this is a more egregious trespassing in that I don't believe this person's intentions were right, and this person actually happens to be my neighbor. Now, all of my neighbors out here, guys, have my telephone number. I'm very open and friendly with my neighbors. I've invited all of my neighbors onto my property to see our progress, what we're doing. I've also invited, it's an open invitation that if my neighbors ever have an emergency or a need for help, that they can call me. And if they can't call me, they can come find me out on the property if I'm home, and I will immediately come and help them. And that's just my idea of being neighborly, really. And so every single one of my neighbors knows that that's who I am. I've had actually every single one of my neighbors that I've actually met and spoken to in person have come out and seen the yaks. I've invited them over to see the yaks. Most of them get eggs when they come to visit or something else fun like that. And we're very neighborly with our neighbors, guys. So please don't take this discussion as me not being, don't misinterpret this as me being anything but neighborly and kind to my neighbors. So we did have a neighbor come up and trespass on the property unannounced. Okay, so anyways, back to the trespasser. So who also happens to be our neighbor. My wife confronted this person. And this person said they were concerned that the water, that they were on the property because they had concern that the water tank was empty that is next to our pigs. Now, that water tank sometimes is empty, sometimes full, sometimes half empty, you know. We haul water from town, guys, and we have a big cistern up at the top of the hill that we pretty much keep topped off. And when we have abundance, then the other holding tanks get filled for the animals. Now, regardless of explaining that to you guys, that's not something I need to explain to my neighbor. One, that is the number one issue at hand here. My neighbor does not have a right to come onto my property and question anything in regards to my property without me soliciting that opinion. Period. That's just number one. Okay. Number two. Okay, guys, so the other issue here is that me and this particular neighbor have had lots of conversations about specifically in regards to each other's property. Now, this neighbor has asked me not to cross into their property for any reason, emergency or not. And I've respected that. I've never once set foot on this person's property. Now, my offer does extend to this neighbor, just like any other neighbor, that they have my telephone number, they know where I'm at, and if they need to get a hold of me, they have those two options in emergency situations to where I will always be there for them. That does not give them an open invitation to come onto my land unannounced whenever they decide that it's time to come onto my land. So that's another issue I have here. We've had specific conversations about the posted laws, about the trespassing laws in Idaho, me and this person. And so that's a little bit extra why I'm a bit upset about this situation here, because we have discussed this. And it's mostly been one-sided on my neighbor's part. So that's a bit confusing. So now, like I said, when my wife confronted this person, they said that they were concerned about the water tank being empty by the pigs. Now, this is kind of the area where they were confronted, and so it's kind of a bit, I don't know, it's a bit convenient of an excuse. Regardless, it's none of their business why that's empty, but outside of that, it seems like a convenient excuse. Now, this particular person is a bit of an oddball. So, I will say the last few weeks I've been noticing some of my feed. It was just this weird feeling I had in my head that my feed was going somewhere. I could not figure it out. My calculations were off, and but feed seemed to be disappearing from the pigs. Now, my thoughts, I don't have any proof of this, and I'm going to have to get trail cams or cameras out, it seems like, in that section of the property, so that way I know for sure in the future. But I do believe, and it wouldn't be beyond this oddball person's kind of personality, but I believe possibly what was happening is they were coming into the property and feeding the pigs while they were out on their walk, extra feed. Now, I feed morning and night, because I do feed dry, and that's just how I feed out here. So there are times where they have no feed in the pen, and that's mostly throughout the midday. Usually they're just laying in the dirt, wallowing at that time. So I believe possibly what's happening is when this person was taking their walks midday, they were stopping in and providing the animals some feed like you would, I guess, a horse and an apple. I have no way of knowing that for sure. And perhaps my wife chanced upon them in that situation. They were embarrassed, and they used the water tank as an excuse. That's what I'm hoping the situation is that this neighbor was just embarrassed to be found in a precarious situation, and use that as an excuse. That's my hope, anyways. The other option is this person is out here with malicious intent, snooping around. That's another option. As they're out here unannounced, didn't come and announce themselves as being on the property, etc. So that's another concern. But again, knowing this person, it's just really weird. It's a really weird situation, and it's a really weird, uncomfortable situation for me and my wife, because we do like to be friendly neighbors. We do want to be good to our neighbors, but again, it's unsafe to have people just snooping around out here unannounced. Anything could happen. So, another issue with this, which is, I debated bringing it up because of the sensitive situation of this trespasser being an actual neighbor, but I think it needs to be addressed as it was, just to be honest with you guys. My wife did say that this person was acting fairly, I guess, irrational, not like their normal selves. So my wife did not know if it was just a nervousness because of being found trespassing, or if it was some sort of drug-induced state, intoxicated state, or if it was a mental issue. My wife couldn't tell between those three options, so maybe it was a little bit of all of it. I don't know, but that's a concern I have as well. So if this person ever needs anything for an emergency situation, they are more than welcome to call me or come find me. Announced. Now, I did not cite this person, have this person cited, even though I could have. My wife didn't, we didn't make any calls or anything like that. But in the future, it is well known now that in the future, any unannounced visits to the property will be dealt with as trespassing. Now, I hate to do that, guys. I hate to be that kind of neighbor, but what it comes down to is accountability. This person knew we had an arrangement. This person knew what our arrangement was, in reality, this arrangement was very one-sided in this person's favor, and this person still chose to disrespect the treaty, so to speak. They failed to respect the relationship, guys. Really, is what it comes down to, and you know, respect is something that's very hard to earn and very easy to lose in this life, and you know, I never want to think poorly about my neighbors. So again, I'm going to keep with the mentality that it was an honest kind of, I guess not, you know, not honest by law, but honest by heart type of thing. You know, I'm just going to go with the assumption that this person was just being kind-hearted, usually came through and snuck a little bit of feed to the pigs, got caught doing that, you know, enjoying the pigs, and you know, came up with a convenient excuse for it. I don't know for certain, but again, what leads me to believe that is the suspicion that my feed was disappearing over the last couple of weeks. I just had that suspicion, so I don't know, guys, if you think I handled it the right way, but you know, that's how I handled it, and that's how I think I would, in hindsight, handle it again. I do wish I was here when it happened, because had I been here, I could have handled that situation myself. But you know, that's a tough part when it's just you know, somebody out here on their own, or you know, maybe not even out here at all, but we have stock out here, guys, and we have things out here that people could get hurt on, and it's not only for my family's own safety, but it's for other people's safety that they don't come through here unannounced. I could be out here shooting, I could be out here doing any number of dangerous activities, and to have somebody come in unannounced is not something that we're ever expecting out here. So yeah, guys, I don't know. You know, that's the way I handled it. In the future, if there's ever another issue, citations will be issued right off the bat. And again, in Idaho, you know, the first time is citation worthy. There's no excuse in Idaho. Not even a kid going over the fence to get his ball. And there's been plenty of discussion on this in various Idaho forums. Even the lawmakers have discussed this, and that's the way it is here in North Idaho. So, again, the most, I guess, disappointing thing in regards to this, guys, is I do feel a little disrespected, and I apologize if there's rain on the lens there. Like I said, it is raining pretty heavily here, but I do feel got a little bit of starting to haul out some more lumber out here, or some more firewood out there. But again, guys, I guess what upset me most is I do feel a little disrespected that we did have an arrangement, we did have a treaty, and I've never broken that treaty. I would never consider to break that agreement or arrangement, and it seems like this person just went out of their way to disrespect our agreement. So that's unfortunate. Anyways, we'll try and work through this the best way we can, because we do have to be neighbors, and you know, my support is always there for this neighbor if they need it. And you know, if there's ever an issue out here together, we have to sometimes deal with things together, and so we'll deal with that just fine. But I think it's clear now that this person knows where we stand as far as boundaries, and hopefully that line in the sand is not going to get crossed again. If it does, we'll take it instance by instance, I guess. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys liked this video. Again, I debated whether or not I was going to make it, because this trespasser was a neighbor, and it wasn't the end of the world type situation. But I guess the main reason I wanted to make it is just to I guess if I could do anything in hindsight better, is I would have made those boundaries much more clear. Sometimes I'm overly friendly, and when I extend offers out to people, it maybe comes across as too open-ended. I didn't think I did that with this neighbor, but perhaps I did, and if I did, then that was my mistake. So in the future, I'm going to definitely make sure that I'm very, very specific about my offers, especially when it comes to offers of that nature. So anyways, guys, if you made it this far, again, if you haven't, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one.